There was a small Jewish town that had not one, but two synagogues standing right across the street from each other. When visitors asked, "Why are there two?" the locals would sigh and say, "Once, there was only one. Years earlier, the whole community prayed together." Then one day, the Gabbai, the synagogue manager, announced a simple change. He said, "We'll now say L'David Hashim Ori before the Amidah during Elul." Some members objected. No, it should be after the Amidah, not before. What started as a small debate turned into anger, division, families splitting apart. Eventually, it got so bad that they built a second synagogue. Years later, no one could even remember why they had divided in the first place. Now, pause for a moment. Can you think of a friendship? A workplace? Maybe even your own family, where a small disagreement spiraled into something much bigger. Something that, looking back, wasn't even worth the pain. Conflicts often begin small, but when ego and pride get involved, they grow until they tear communities apart. The question is, how do we stop that from happening? The Torah gives us a powerful example in Korach's rebellion, found in Numbers chapter 16. Korach challenged Moses and Aaron, saying, "All of Israel is holy. Why do you raise yourselves above the congregation?" On the surface, that sounds noble. Wasn't he standing for equality? But the Midrash reveals the truth. Korach wasn't motivated by fairness. He was jealous because someone else was chosen for leadership instead of him. His noble cause was really personal resentment. That's often how conflicts grow. People mask their personal ambition in righteous-sounding language. Maybe you've heard someone say, "I just want what's fair," when in reality, they're upset because they didn't get their way. And what was the result of Korach's rebellion? Destruction. Not only for him, but for 250 others who followed him. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avot teaches a mashlaket, a dispute for the sake of heaven will endure, but a dispute not for the sake of heaven will not endure. Korach's rebellion was not for the sake of heaven. It was fueled by pride, envy, resentment, and those things always fade, but they leave scars that last a lifetime. By contrast, think of the debates between Hillel and Shmuel. Their arguments were fierce, but they were for the sake of heaven. They were rooted in the pursuit of truth, and those debates left behind wisdom that still shapes Jewish life to this day. So, the question isn't whether disagreements will happen. They always do. The question is, what kind of dispute are we having? One driven by ego, or one driven by truth and humility? Ego-driven conflict disguises itself as righteousness. When ambition is the root, it divides communities. When disputes are fueled by pride, they destroy more than just relationships. They can fracture entire families and communities. But when disagreements are l'shem shamayim, for the sake of heaven, they lead to growth, understanding, and unity, even when people disagree. So how do we recognize the difference in our own lives? Here are 3 simple questions we can ask ourselves the next time we find ourselves in a conflict. First, am I more concerned with winning than with understanding? If the goal is victory, it's probably about ego. Second, will the outcome of this argument help others grow closer to truth, to wisdom, or to God? If not, then maybe it's not worth the fight. Third, if I let go of my pride right now, would the disagreement still matter? If the answer is no, then it's probably a conflict that can be set aside. Think of the last disagreement you were in. Was it truly about truth, justice, or love? Or was there some pride, some ego, some hurt feelings mixed in? If we can catch ourselves in those moments and shift from ego to heaven, we might just save friendships, families, and even communities from unnecessary division. Because in the end, the goal isn't to avoid every disagreement. The goal is to make sure our disputes build wisdom, not walls.